Take it any way you can get it, baby. A win is a win. Welcome in and a happy Monday, one and all. We are Sports Day, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn. Barrett having jaw surgery? Is that oral surgery?
Yeah, oral surgery. Has to get a tooth replaced and taken. Dude, I don't know. It's like getting the road work when you talk about going back and
yeah.
You know,
dental work.
Yeah. I don't like needles to begin with. Obviously, you got to, you've been a dentist. You ever have a filling put in? So when they deaden it, they take the needle, they turn it this way, and then they turn it this way. And I'm sitting there gripping chair seats. My palms are sweating. And I've had enough needles stuck in me, but I can't stand needles,
I'm
man.
with you. No,
oh my goodness. But he's had several of these just this year.
Yeah, man. So he'll be back tomorrow, but he's on the IR a little bit. See everybody. What up, Eric? What up, William? Anthony, Eagles fan, Jeremy, Chris, the Mad Hatter, Jared,
Kevin,
Christian, and Kevin. What up, everybody? In the chat section. Everybody streaming, everybody listening. We appreciate you.
Chris D has a good question. Will there be a show? It just rolled. Will there be a show? What? Where did she go? Will there be a show
Friday
on the Friday Thanksgiving?
And the answer is there's going to be something. We're not sure exactly what it is.
Right. It will not be us, though.
Yeah, we're working on the channel. Will have programs. Yes, that's for sure. But great to be with everybody. Hey, by the way, so coming up, we got no sports take. Xander's just letting us know. At 1:30, and we'll do this throughout the show, of course, too. But we'll concentrate a little bit heavier on it. Your best questions, not only from yesterday's game, but just in general. We'll try to run as many of those in sort of Q&A at 1:30 as we can possibly do from the for the chat section. So just an FYI regarding that. Derek, an interesting one yesterday where it looked like for a very long, really up until the fourth quarter, it looked like the Eagles were going to fall for a second straight week. And they were, to credit to Jalen Hurts and the offense and a defense that had really, after that first drive, that really turned itself around.
No question.
Able to get that win yesterday. And you know what? You're going to have some of these. You're going to have some of these non-beauty contest kind of wins during the regular season. And 4 or 5 weeks from now, it ain't going to matter how it looked as long as you got it and they got it.
As long as you hold on to that number 1 seed, and with the Giants losing, they now have a 2-game cushion. What are they? They're 9-1 now with 7 to go. That's a huge cushion to have with 7 games left to play. But, Rob, we've said it before, and I'll say it again. Every time this Eagles team steps on the field, it is the opponent's Super Bowl. And the Colts came out swinging haymakers. We know they weren't a high-scoring team, but I tell you what, we got to give credit where credit is due also. Colts came out with a great game plan. Mm-hmm. There was one thing that I kept harping on is me and Mike Missinelli and Seth Joyner and Devin Caney were watching the game from the green room. I kept saying in the second half, the Colts are playing not to lose. When you play a team like the Eagles, you have to keep attacking because they can explode on you at any given moment. And they played a conservative game in the second half not to lose. And I understand why. It has not been the best of seasons for Matt Ryan. Under new leadership, they're still figuring some things out. But their game plan on defense without their 2 best players who were out was a really good game plan and frustrated the Eagles all day. But, it's a feel-good day. But you know me, Rob, I got to look at both sides of the equation. It's a feel-good day because the Eagles won. But as that game wore on, I'm saying, have opponents – we didn't talk about this in the pre-show meeting – have opponents figured the Eagles out?
Yeah, no, and I it's specific to the offense and the RPO, which was so effective throughout the season. Yeah, we will definitely get into that. There is no question about that. But it was one of those sort of gut check moments. The thing is, as well as Jalen Hurts has played all year, and he's been excellent all year.
Yes.
We hadn't really seen him in this kind of situation going into a fourth quarter being down like this. And that's one of the great things. Like my takeaways, if I, going positive for a minute, skew positive, then we'll get into some of the things that worry us. But number one, the fact that Hurts didn't blink, 2 drives you had to have, and he, by any means necessary, whether it's with your arm or your legs, and he's able to do it, right? And the other thing is, we talked all week, blueprint, everybody's going to run on the Eagles and run it down their throat. After that first drive, the defense said, that ain't happening anymore. Like, they're my two main takeaways, Gunner, is that the quarterback was clutch when you needed him to be, and the defense made the adjustments that we've been calling for them to make.
You put the ball in the hands of your best overall athlete on offense when it counted most, and he delivered. By the way, that was his first come-from-behind win of his career.
Yep.
And when you think about it.
Yeah, no, right, absolutely. He hasn't been in that spot.
And kudos to Howie for going out and getting 635 pounds of fresh beef to go in the trenches.
Sounds like you on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. You ain't kidding about that. But they couldn't have come at a more perfect time. And people are like, man, can they play on just short notice? Well, when you talk about defensive tackles, you're not asking them to do a lot. You're not asking them to run 40, 50 yards down the field. You just want them to plug the gaps, and that's exactly what they did. My only concern is if you watch closely, every time they'd go to a 4-man front is when they got gashed. When they went to the 5-man front, that's when Indianapolis could not run on them. And they ran into a stone wall. Most of Indianapolis's runs, again, just like Washington, between the tackles. And they were trap blocking when the Eagles would go to their 4-man front.
Right.
But a 5-man front, you could do nothing with them. And Sue and Linville came out and balled out in that game. I mean, you couldn't write a better script. Their first sacks as an Eagle is together. A collaboration.
How crazy was that?
Isn't that something?
Unbelievable. It really was. I was so impressed by them, Derek. And I know, I get it. They're not playing quarterback, and you don't have to get the whole system down and all that. You can kind of plug these guys in, and they've been doing it their whole lives. And they're smart guys and tough guys and all that. But still, man, I mean, a week ago, they're not on the team. They're at home, wherever they are. And to be in there and have the effect that they had and, play a decent amount of snaps.
Absolutely.
Those two deserve major props, man.
Notice early on, too, both of them got more snaps than Fletcher Cox did. So what is that saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he went from playing 70 snaps last week. I don't know what the snap count is yet. I haven't seen it, but obviously, you can't have Fletcher at this stage of his career playing 70 snaps. It's not conducive to what you need him to do. And his last two games, I mean, let's face it, last two games, he hasn't given you a whole lot, in terms of being that disruptive force that we've grown accustomed to him being in the past. And maybe it's because he's had to play additional snaps out of necessity. But with these two in here and Milton Williams, and when Jordan Davis comes back to go along with Hargrave and Fletcher, dude, that is one heck of a 6-man rotation in the trenches for this team.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when Davis comes back, oh my God, man. I mean, what this thing's going to look like up front, it's beautiful.
That's almost 1,000 pounds of beef between those three.
PFF had Linval Joseph graded out as the best player on that side of the ball for the Eagles in the time that he was in there for a snap. So just to tell you what kind of impact. And the thing is, a defensive tackle's stats don't always show up. It's going to be occupy people, let others make plays. A lot of their job is just kind of dirty work stuff, which is not going to, blow you away. But there's no doubt. I mean, the flip, man, what they go, Derek, real quick, and we'll get into the defense in a second, but just for the purposes of the discussion, you go from 75 yards allowed and a touchdown on that first drive to the next 10 drives, an average of 16 yards per drive and 9 points. You're stepping up, and that whole unit collect. I thought TJ Edwards was phenomenal yesterday.
Oh my goodness,
everywhere,
no question. And Rob, the guys you brought in, you got them at a bargain basement price. Now, $1 million and a little over $1 million, and I believe with the incentives if he achieves them. And Ndamukong Suh could earn as much as $2.5 million. Right. I don't know if he'll achieve that, but still, you got these dudes at a bargain basement price. That's not hurting your cap in any way, shape, or form because there's no commitment to these guys after the season. But your GM once again reiterates that it's all about this season right now. And where we are right now, especially in a very up and down NFC East and an up and down NFL for that matter. I'm looking at the snap counts right now. So Sue only played 17 snaps. Where's Joseph? Joseph played 26 snaps. So they played 43 snaps between them. Cox still played 48 snaps. Hargrave played 47 snaps. So, but they went to Sue and Linville early and then went back to the regulars. And a couple of times they had all three of them, had three of them in at the same time. Had Cox, Linville, and Sue in, or either Hargrave, Linville, and Sue in at the same time. And man, that's a lot of behemoth to move off a line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But I just give the entirety of the team props for the way that they responded, because it's not always going to be great. It's not, you're not going to be running through teams like they were earlier in the year. And you were on the road. You sort of had the thought of the last game lingering in your mind that they lost to Washington. Yeah. And a lot of things happening there. A motivated Colts team with Jeff Saturday as the coach. All of those things happening, and you were able to kind of buckle in and get it done. And it's just huge.
You're coming off a short week. Your players, many of your key players are nicked up. You're without your tight end. And obviously in the passing game, not having Goddard there is huge. It's bigger than we thought.
Right.
When you think about what he missed in that offense in terms of not just catching but blocking, because the other guys you bring in are one but not the other. Stoles, a good blocker, not a great catcher. Calcaterra is a great catcher, not a good blocker. And then Tyree Jackson, we still don't know what he is or is not, because we haven't seen much of him. Yeah. And he wasn't in there that much, although he did have one penalty.
But we didn't
he got one penalty, so I guess he did get in the stats for that. But still, that just goes to show you the depth on this team. When you have that kind of depth and you're in a knuckle punch, drag out, knockdown brawl like this, it's all hands on deck. Get it done any way you can, and that's exactly what they did in terms of getting this win. Because if they had lost this game, then they're still just one game up now on both Dallas and the Giants.
It was
two games is a huge difference now, because you still have to face, between the Giants and Dallas, you've got to face them 3 times coming up.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. And look, clearly, and I don't know, we touched on the Frank Reich angle in that, Nick Sirianni may might have consulted with him during the week, et cetera. So we talked about that part of it. And from a strategic standpoint, what we didn't really look at as much, Derek, was the emotional part of it. And, clearly he was ticked off at the way, he being Sirianni, the way the Colts handled Reich, and when you think about it, like forcing him to go with Sam Ehlinger, and then you can him, and then you let Jeff Saturday say, I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. Like it was really some dirty pool that went on there. And you could tell Sirianni wanted that bad. And maybe to the point where it affected some of his judgment, because I didn't think he had a good day.
I didn't either,
decision-making wise. But that was from the time he went over to the people, after the Eagles scored and they held defensively, he's doing that with the Eagles fans behind the bench. He's crying, literally. He's coming in the tunnel and he's hugging Lurie, the place you used to be all the time in those tunnels. He's crying and hugging Howie Roseman. And then he got emotional even at the podium after the game. Like, and this meant a ton to him. And
then he says, I don't have to say it, but you can tell. You can tell how much you can tell what I think about Frank being fired. You can tell this was more than just a game to him. This was like stick it to Irsay in the organization for how dare you, jettison Reich like that after what you put him through. Mm-hmm. We see Sirianni being emotional, but not to this level. This was a whole different level of emotions for Sirianni, and it's good to see that in a coach. And the players knew. You heard Brandon Graham after the game talking about they understood how much it meant to Sirianni, not just to get the win, but because of his relationship with Frank Reich and people in it, and certain people in that organization, and how much of a mentor Frank Reich was to him coming up as a young coach. So it was good to see that. I'm just glad he got to do that, because that game was hairy, man, all the way down to the end. That was a hairy game, man. Woo!
Yeah, it didn't look good. I mean, let's be real. You were heading into that fourth. Now, you knew they got a couple stops when they had to get them. The Colts missing the field goal. It was a long one, mind you. In fairness, it was a 50-yarder. But the Colts missing that kept that door open, man. They gave you life by missing that. And to the Eagles' credit, they took advantage of it. They got it when they had to have it. And I just think, the other thing back to Hurts, there's obviously the skill element of it, but there's just he's tough, man. He is just locked in. There's no BS on the sideline when maybe the defense isn't doing their job or something else is happening. You don't see the finger pointing stuff that you see with other guys. Like, he is just dialed in, and I'm telling you, man, it's real. That helps you in those kind of games, the way that dude is focused.
And everybody else feeds off it too. When you think about it, everybody else feeds off of. A lot of times in adverse situations, you have people will look around like who's gonna make a play, who's going to make the right calls, who's going to give us that spark, And lo and behold, when you look at this whole team, they don't look around for anybody. I mean, they're very professional about what they do. They understand what needs to be done. Very smart unit on both sides of the ball. Sometimes it's not perfect, whether it's a call or whether it's actual execution, but they're good enough to make up for miscues. Like that one series, they go from first down inside the Colts territory to 3 consecutive penalties in his 1st and 35 back in their own territory.
Oh my God.
And that was an opportunity because they were moving the ball at that time. That was one of their best drives of the game up to that point. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 you 1st and 35, and you don't get the first down. You got to give them the ball back. And then there was that sequence where, A.J. Brown, who never fumbles, and then
right on the heels of the Eagles getting one too.
Right?
Yeah, it was like the emotional pendulum, man, just swung hard.
Like, who wrote this script? For this game, and you're thinking, oh, geez, here we go again.
Yep.
I mean, second straight game though. It's interesting. Second straight game, they lose the turnover battle.
I
Never thought I would see that this season.
Very rare. You're right. I mean, the strip sack, which very first. You're thinking first play of the third quarter. Like, here we go, man. And when you look at that again, I'm trying to figure out. Was there a miscommunication? You really want Miles Sanders on an island with a defensive end like that?
Well, when you look at the play, Jordan Mailata blocked down. He crashed down and blocked. And Ngakoue just shoots through. And you do not want Miles Sanders on Yannick Ngakoue. And as you saw, that was a mismatch made in heaven. And he snuck behind Jalen, slapped the ball out of his hand, ball turnover. Mm-hmm. Okay. It happens. Every now and then a running back gets stuck taking on a freight train coming at him. Sometimes you lose, more times than not. Sometimes you win, but more times than not, you're going to lose that battle. He lost that battle. Yeah. So that's what happened on that play. And I don't know if it was a line call or what, but, you see him a lot of crash down on the end this way. And all of a sudden, on the D tackle this way, and all of a sudden, zoop, here he comes.
Yeah.
And it was lights out. I'm thinking, get rid of the ball. If you really watch the play, if Jalen had one more second, I can't remember what receiver it was, but he had streaking wide open down the far side of the field. Mm-hmm. He was gonna throw it back across the field this way, and the guy had at least 2 or 3 steps on his defender. As soon as he cocked his arm, good night, game over.
Never got there. But I mean, you're right. To be able to bounce back from that, then AJ, which is so rare. AJ, you don't see that from AJ Brown. Really 2 weeks in a row, right? So he has the fumble there, and then the one which he could have caught on Monday night, which was a pretty good throw. It was a little dangerous throw, but whatever. That's rare. But anyway, you're still able to overcome that. Tells you about where these kind of things. I'm telling you, Derek, even though it was ugly, wins like this are gonna serve them well.
Absolutely.
Forward. I really believe that.
I think you needed to see something like that. The good teams. I mean, prime example. Look at the Chiefs-Chargers game last night. Chargers get the game-winning score, and I put out on Twitter. 146 left in the game. That's more than enough time for Mahomes.
Way too much.
Because we've seen him do it time and time again.
Yep.
He walked him down the field. Travis Kelce, touchdown, 3 touchdowns in the game for Kelce.
Best duo in football, by the way.
Well, there's no question. No question.
No doubt. Yep.
There's no question about it. So now we finally get to see Jalen Hurts in a situation like that where you have to take the team down the field. I thought the 2 most defining plays of this game, number one, the Colts kicker who had hit a 51-yarder missed that field goal. That would have made it, 19-10? If he had hit that field goal.
Yep.
And then the pass
interference. It's a two-possession
game, yeah. And then the pass interference call on that defining drive, when, of all people, Miles Sanders is streaking down the field and the DB just bulldogs him to the ground without turning back. And we're sitting there going, see, but that's commonplace. DBs don't turn around. I don't know why they're coached that way. But if he had turned around, and even if he had hit Miles Sanders, they wouldn't have called pass interference.
Oh, no.
But he bulldogged him. Dude.
Gunner, that had to be an ad-libbed. He if you watch the play, Sanders swings out in the flat initially.
Yep.
And then it was just kind of like playground. It felt
freestyle.
Like freestyle it. And credit to Jalen for seeing it and Miles for making the move to kind of go back to it to draw it. But yeah, I don't even know what that was. It clearly wasn't designed that way.
No. Oh, heck no. No. That was a great improvised by Miles going down the field. I don't know why he went down. Obviously, he couldn't have gone across the middle. It's too much coverage in the middle. But
yeah,
I wonder if that's going to be a part of their arsenal in the future. Hey, in a scramble drill like that, Miles, just take off. If you're matched up with a linebacker or a safety, just take off.
Yeah, like Richie saying it was a wheel route. I don't think that was a straight wheel
I don't think that was a straight wheel, because if you look at how long Jalen had the ball in his hands, I don't think that was a straight wheel route in that case.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be a shorter route.
There were just so many things that there was so many different like game-changing moments in that game that led to the outcome, the final outcome that you had. It was a lot going on, man. A lot. And it felt like, and I was already getting the tweets at me and all that after the first drive, like here with Ganwagon imploding and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah.
But for the defense in general to settle in the way, look, they got 4 sacks. Your interior defensive line delivered for you. And the offense, as bad as it is. And the other things with the offense, they're trying to figure this thing out without Goddard. And it's not going to be perfect right away. You're going to have to sort of and the good thing is you're going to get Goddard back at some point, but it's going to take a little while, I think, for them to fully figure out exactly what this looks like without him. And they're not there yet. They're not. You hope you can continue to survive it, but they're not there yet. That's clear.
Well, you know what? And I still think Tyree Jackson is going to be more involved in the offense, but you got to get him up to speed. He's lost basically almost 2 seasons because of injuries. So they're still trying to figure out what he is to this offense. Dude, there's not many 6'7" tight ends in the game.
I know.
And the small sample that we saw of him a couple of years ago in a preseason game, the way he caught the ball, he has some talent.
Oh, for
it's just a matter of getting him more integrated. Jack Stoll, he's not the complete answer. Yeah. Calcaterra is not the complete answer. You're going to have to pass this, mix this thing up. Yeah. And I can see him go in a lot of cases. I can see him going to more 12 personnel with 2 tight ends if they're going to stay. I still say they have to do a better job running the football. I mean, Jalen Hurts, 16 carries, 84 yards. Miles Sanders at 47 yards rushing. So obviously they keyed on Miles. They were not going to let him run the football their defensive front. Yeah. And you got DeForest Buckner, and DeForest Buckner is a stout individual, man. Yeah. They couldn't move him off the ball.
That's a good defense, by the way.
It is a good defense.
And I know we look at it like the Eagles didn't do this. That other defense is pretty good.
Well, you got Gus Bradley and John Fox as your co-defensive coordinators on that team. You got two great defensive minds on that side of the ball. And they played like it. I mean, they had no Shaquille Leonard, no Kwity Paye in there. Those were the 2 best defensive players, and they still made it a very miserable day. The back end of their defense is very physical. Made some plays. Stephon Gilmore, even at this stage of his career, is still one of the better cornerbacks. And just like I thought, he was on A.J. Brown most of the day. He's still one of the smartest, best cornerbacks in the game today. You're right. That's a good defense. Unfortunately, they don't have the offensive personnel to help the defense out more.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's clear. I mean, it's Jonathan Taylor and not much else on that side of the ball. Matt Ryan's just not what he was, anywhere near what he was back in the day. All right. So when we come back, Derek, we're going to go heavy into this defense. Again, it started off looking poorly, and I got some snaps for you too. I'll give you the snaps for all the guys, but we're going to get heavy into that. What they've been doing lately, the adjustments made, credit to that side of the ball, and then we'll get into the offense after that. So we got a lot in store. And by the way, a news update, an injury update on Joel Embiid. So we'll talk about that too.
Geez.
Oh yeah. When it rains, it pours with the Sixers, and it's pouring right now, man. So I'll give you that update because they got Ben Simmons and the Nets coming in tomorrow night. Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll talk about that as well when we get back. Don't go anywhere. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis Barrett on the mend. He'll be back with us tomorrow. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances can be a very scary proposition. And I will tell you, I am right there in the front of the line for years, just trying to find that right person to trust. And I found the right person, and that's Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, if you have a small business and you're looking to set up your employee benefits, that is another resource that Jim can help you with. I've entrusted my IRA, some 401k rollovers from previous stops for me, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You can also email him, Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.